We're live.
We're good. All right. We will call to order the regular monthly meeting of the City of Helotes Planning and Zoning Commission, 7 o'clock on July 2nd. Ask the commission secretary to call the roll, please.
Greg Michelle,
Here.
Jason Weidman. Here. Ann Caraway,
Here.
Buck Russell. Here. And Alex Fu here as well.
And we also have from staff, Michael Gallardo, and Jen Sones is here from council, Sabrina McGowan from council. That's it. Do we have any citizens to be heard, Michael?
No, we don't.
Great. All right, so number 4 on our agenda is discussion and action on the minutes from the regular meeting of the Planning and Zoning Commission on May 7, 2024. If you should have had access to this through your packet of material, if there are any edits, corrections, please call those to our attention, or we can have a motion.
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes of the what day was it? May 7th, 2024 P&Z meeting.
Is there a motion to accept, approve the minutes for May 7, 2024 meeting?
I'll second.
Thank you. The motion is to approve the minutes as submitted for the May 7, 2024 meeting. All in favor, please signal aye.
Aye.
Opposed? These minutes are approved. Okay. Forging right ahead. Number 5 on our agenda tonight is discussion and action on a request by Cynthia Parker for approval of the refacing of an existing monument sign pursuant to Code of Ordinances, Chapter 66, Signs, Section 49, Commercial Signs, Single Business Use Monument Type with a view at Helotes Creek, located at 15248 Scenic Loop Road, Helotes. Is the applicant here tonight if there are questions?
I do not see her.
Okay. Are there any, and Michael, if you, when you're able to, you can
I'm trying to get it.
try to get that. Do you have anything beyond what you had submitted, what staff had submitted?
No. Other than they brought that to our attention before when we put the sign on the cistern. And then they decided to go ahead and opt out and change the monument sign. At first, the monument sign was gonna stay with judicial services, but they decided since the event center is a big part of their business that they went ahead and changed that.
Okay. If you, maybe we can wait till you put it up. You can access it.
Yeah, for some reason, it's not letting me. Not letting me share it for some reason.
All right. Well, we do have a hard copy up here, at least one, so we could share that if there are comments that we need to see. But I'll open up to discussion from the commission, their comments or questions about this item. Thanks.
No questions. No questions.
Questions? Michael, I only have, Alex, do you have anything?
No, sir, just.
I did have a question, just to be clear, is there a sign, I don't recall, on the building
No,
for
sir.
judicial services?
No wall signs at all.
So they're not obligated to have a sign for judicial services, right?
No,
Okay, so the only signage then speaks to the view.
correct.
Okay, but it still does function as the judicial services business is still.
So the way it
still
works,
there.
it has dual occupancy, right? Certificate of occupancies for each business. However, judicial services, the majority of their business is done remotely. So their employees work remotely. So they decided that, you know, to go ahead and change the monument sign for the view and go utilize the whole building for the event center. Not to say that they do not have like meetings and stuff like that during the day where employees can come in for the judicial services portion of it.
Mhm.
But nonetheless, yes, their they're allowed to do both, and basically all the signage is geared towards the events.
Thank you for clarifying. If there are no other comments or questions, I invite a motion at this time for item 5.
Okay, I'll do the motion to approve the request by Cynthia Parker for approval of the refacing of an existing monument sign pursuant to the Municipal Code of Ordinances, Chapter 66 signs, Section 66-49, commercial signs, single business use, monument type for the view at Helotes Creek, located at 15248 Scenic Loop Road, Helotes, Texas, 78023, more particularly described as BCAD, prop ID number 242030 and 242036.
Is there a second to the motion?
I'll second.
Jason, Ann or Jason, any discussion of the motion?
No?
It's refacing of a fully compliant sign, which has been previously approved. No Any objections?
Buck or Alex?
No.
Okay, so the motion is to approve the request by Cynthia Parker for the refacing of an existing monument sign pursuant to Code of Ordinances, Chapter 66, Sections 49, that is signs, commercial signs, single business use monument type for the view at Helotes Creek, 15248 Scenic Loop Road, Helotes. All in favor of the motion, please signal aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion is approved. Item 6 tonight is discussion and action on a request by David Peters for approval of 2 wall signs pursuant to Code of Ordinances, Chapter 98, Section 72, zoning signs, Old Town Helotes Special District for Reef Natural at 14743 Old Bandera Road, Unit 7. And Michael, do you have anything further on this item?
No, first of all, let me apologize because I can't get it up there for whatever reason.
Okay.
If I shut it down, it may not come back up. However, I do want to just point out, in your packet, what you're seeing on the first picture is actually gonna be the side of the building. So the back of the building abuts to Old Bandera Road, or the driveway coming through Old Bandera Road. I guess if you can say if you follow that road, you'll hit Pete's Place.
Mhm.
So technically, I guess either side of the building is a pedestrian way. So they have the 2 signs, which are compliant as far as size,
Okay,
per linear feet, but I just kind of wanted to point that out. This is actually the building where they added they enclosed the porch, if you guys remember that.
Yes.
So they're utilizing another entrance in the side for their signage. The other side that's enclosed just has the door with basically a sticker on the door with the name of the business.
is the applicant here tonight? Okay, if we have questions. Which we may not. We'll see. I would, thank you, Michael, for that. I would invite comments, questions for staff or the applicant from the commission at this time. Hearing none.
None.
All right, I would invite a motion.
Okay.
Seems like it's your.
Okay, I move to approve the request by David Peters for approval of 2 wall signs pursuant to Municipal Code of Ordinances, Chapter 98, zoning, Section 98-72, signs, Old Town Helotes Special District for Reef Natural, located at 14743 Old Bandera Road, Unit 7, Helotes, Texas, 78023, more particularly described as BCAD prop ID number 1154308.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Any discussion of the item? From
No.
Ann or Buck?
None. 12, 5, 9, 8, 7.
I don't know what you read.
No,
I was wondering what you were reading.
I read this one.
Okay, so the,
Hmm. Oh, I think,
is that the difference?
I think you're on the. Yeah, that's the same.
So just, Michael, for your reference, the BCAD ID number is different on our agenda as it is on the item form. Address is fine, the substance of the content is all the same, but the BCAT ID number is different.
It's different than the map.
It's different from the agenda, is different from the agenda request item itself.
Okay.
So that would just need to be corrected by staff.
What number
I
is
have-
that one? Is that from the previous one? No.
Okay, so discussion of the substance of the motion. Anne, what's your motion? Anything?
No, nothing.
No, I saw it this weekend and actually looks good.
Great,
It's really nice.
good. All right, so the motion is to approve the request by David Peters for 2 wall signs pursuant to Code of Ordinances, Chapter 98, Section 72, zoning, signs, Old Town Helotes Special District for Reef Natural, 14743 Old Bandera Road, Unit 7. All in favor of the motion, please signal aye.
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 Opposed, motion is approved. Thank you for being here and good luck with the business. Number 7 tonight on our agenda is discussion and action on a request by Dietrich Electrical Services for approval of a second wall sign pursuant to Code of Ordinances, Chapter 66, signs, Section 51, commercial signs, projecting wall and hanging or in or on windows for Dietrich Electrical Services, 18608 Bandera Road. And I understand the applicant is here tonight if we have questions, and Commissioner Blue is going to not participate in this item as it needs to recuse himself from it, so he will not vote or participate. Michael, anything that you'd like to elaborate on or speak to in the materials that we received?
So this one was pretty much the same thing. You kind of go to the first set of photos that I provided there, just kind of giving you a general idea of where the sign is located. If you look at the second photo, there's a privacy fence there now. So
That would be the bottom photo on the page that you're calling the second photo? Okay.
So this was approved, I guess, back in May of 2022, where they got the monument sign and then they got a wall sign, correct? The wall sign is facing Bandera Road. It's a Generac sign. He's an authorized dealer for that. The sign that he wants to add now is going to be a Dietrich Electrical Services sign. So if you go down to the third photo, you can kind of see that. It's compliant as far as like size and height and under the 20-foot height regulation and things like that. But what I kind of want to point you to is to the next page where you kind of see the picture of it. So basically, this kind of goes into the same issue we did with Reef Natural, where you have like basically 2 pedestrian ways on either side. One of them could be Bandera Road. I mean, there's no actual paved or sidewalk or anything like that, but the only way you can get to there is if you go to the last page with the photos, and it'll kind of make sense to you. You can see that.
That's the page with 2 photos on it?
Yes, so it's
Okay.
got the monument sign, and then the one underneath has got, like you can see on the right-hand side, like cars parked there in a little parking lot.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, you would go down that driveway, and then you would get off of the car and hang a left, and you would be in front of his portion of the building, which is why he's putting the wall sign there. I know it's difficult to actually see that from the street, but nonetheless, it does differentiate between the 2 businesses.
And the sign that is in the picture you just referenced, the bottom sign, the sign next to the door that we can see there, what is that one?
That's for the Brooks.
Different, totally different.
Totally different, yep.
And that's not an entry point into this business, right?
No, so
Okay.
you would go into the backside for his.
So that's back
So
there.
this is not the business?
Correct.
Okay.
So I kind of use that as a reference. You would drive in, and then you'll see Maple Brooks first, and then you have to drive to the back to get to Dietrich's Electrical Services.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah. Well, it looks like that sign is really necessary because the other sign for the other business is up front.
Correct, it differentiates between the 2.
Let me see the caption. Thank you. Jason or Buck, any comments or questions on this one?
No, it's good explanation, but Michael.
No, I don't have any problem with it. I'm sorry it wasn't there before because it must be hard to find it. So, yeah, I feel fine with that.
Michael, the existing sign is located where?
The existing sign?
Isn't there already one sign?
Yes, it's the one facing Bandera Road, so it's not a Dietrich electrical sign, it's a Generac sign.
Okay.
So it's kind of like a multi-tenant sign situation, essentially.
Right, so this would be, and why don't you come up, Mr. Dietrich, if you would just put your name and business address on record for us.
My name is Dietrich Ogeen, address 18608 Bandera Road.
Thanks. I presume, I hope we're describing this, talking about it correctly, but is it fair to say that that is essentially a multi-tenant sign that's out front, the monument sign?
That is correct.
Okay. And your business is on, I will just describe it as the backside of the building?
Backside of the building.
Okay.
Yes. Now I've had clients kind of give me feedback on not finding my area
Got it.
of the building.
Okay. Any other questions for the applicant since he's up here?
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
If there's nothing further, we can invite a motion on item number 7.
I'll make a motion.
Thank you.
I'll make a motion for approval for Dietrich Electrical Services for a second wall sign pursuant to Municipal Code of Ordinances, Chapter 66 signs, Section 66-51, commercial signs, projecting wall and hanging or in or on windows or for Dietrich Electrical Services located at 18608 Bandera Road, Helotes, Texas 78023, and identified as BCAT property ID number 248520.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Buck or Jason, any additional discussion or any discussion of the motion?
No, none.
Yeah, anything?
No.
So the motion is to approve the request by Dietrich Electrical Services for a second wall sign pursuant to Code of Ordinances, Chapter 66, Section 51, signs, commercial signs, projecting wall and hanging or in or on windows for Dietrich Electrical Services, 18608 Bandera Road, Helotes. All in favor of the motion, please signal aye.
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 Opposed? Is unanimous. Motion's approved. Thank you. Thank you all for being here. Okay. Just one second here. Number 8 tonight is discussion and action on a request by HFA for approval of a conceptual design plan establishing the site idea for Valvoline Instant Oil Change 12420 Bandera Road, Helotes, including the following: site plan, general building concept, exterior lighting, signage, and that would include business name wall signage, monument signage, and 4 service bay wall signage with associated and size and number variances pursuant to code. Michael, would you like to introduce this? Is there a representative of the applicant here?
No, they're all out of state. So it's pretty straightforward. They are gonna just utilize a monument sign. They're gonna utilize a wall sign. The variances are gonna be additional wall signs, and as you can tell by the layout, it's similar to what we did with the Chevron. I don't know if you guys remember that one. Because the bay numbers are considered wall signs, that's why the variance comes into play. But everything else is compliant other than that.
And to be clear, even though this is a conceptual design and a site idea,
Mhm.
the signage, we are approving the signage.
Yeah.
Considering the signage for recommending for
Right.
approval. Okay.
So
this is
the whole item will go to council for final approval.
as a
But,
package
yeah.
essentially.
Mhm.
Okay.
So if you look at the agenda, the way it was written, it was kind of broken down for you guys to
Right.
decide whether or not you want to recommend the whole thing
Certainly.
or just
And-
each item.
As we've done in the back, in the past, Commission,
Correct.
if we need, or if there's a desire to break out any one of these, we can do separate motions. If there's a need for that. At this point, I would simply open the floor for comments or questions regarding any aspect.
The bay signs appear to be more like a traffic control, device for them to direct their customers to where they need to go. And it's on the back side of the building. This space is the backside, not Bandera Road, right?
Correct.
Bandera Road's the one sign, well, it's two signs, Bandera Road, an exit sign and a Valvoline sign.
It'll be the monument sign and then one wall sign on Vendor Road. Yep,
And it's going where the car wash is currently. The car wash will be demolished and
yep.
Okay.
It'll be a brand new development.
Other comments, questions?
I did have a question, if I may.
Please.
Mr. Chairman, given the fact that this location does not have its own dedicated driveway, what discussion has been held with the neighboring property, which is the mini storage unit, with regard to the traffic in and out? Because that, right now, it's a pretty tight curve to get into there. Has there been, since the applicant's not present, since this is a site plan, it looks like they're gonna have to go into the mini storage driveway and then cut into their property, pretty tight curve before they can start to get in or out of any of the bay chain.
So it'll actually be like almost identical to the way that the car wash was set up. Because they're literally actually gonna keep the trees that are there when they demolish everything else. So the final product will be, as far as the driveway, and the sharing of that will be determined by our city engineer. Which he'll have, you'll have to approve that.
I just wasn't sure if there was, the ownership was separate, and obviously there
It
must have
is.
been some sort of easement agreement between the two a long time ago.
Yeah.
Because those have both been there for quite some time, 20
Yes.
years at least.
Yeah, and it is different owners.
Anything more, Alex?
No, sir, that's all. Thank you.
And anything?
What kind of lighting are we having here? Exterior lighting, where is that?
So it'll be the first page where the site plan's at. If you look to the right-hand side of that. It's down, cut off lighting.
Where do you see it?
Which page is it on? With the elevations?
page 2.
The site.
It'll be where your site plan's at. 8-7.
It may not-
This one here.
Didn't print out?
Maybe I'll print it for you. It's
Oh,
that extra. That it is full cutoff.
Yes.
I don't have any questions right now.
All right, well, we can invite a motion at this point. On item 8, and seems we can do it as a package. And I would ask you to read it out so that we have it on the record.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion
Please.
for approval on discussions of an action on a request by HFA for approval of a conceptual design plan to establishing a site for a Valvoline instant oil change located at 12420 Bandera Road, Helotes, Texas, identified as VCAD property ID number 987993, including site plan, general building concept, exterior lighting, and approval of signage being one business name wall sign pursuant to municipal code of ordinances, chapter 66 signs, commercial signs projecting wall and hanging. One monument sign pursuant to municipal code of ordinances, chapter 66 signs, commercial signs, single business use monument type. And 4 bay service signs with associated size and number variances pursuant to municipal code of ordinances, chapter 66 signs, commercial signs projecting wall and hanging or in or on windows.
Thank you. And you mentioned approval, but to clarify,
It's recommendation of the site plan, general building concept and exterior lighting and approval of, that's correct, right?
I believe it's recommendation for the entire package.
Okay,
Yeah.
recommendation, entire package, yes.
Thank you. Is there a second to the motion?
I'll second the motion. Mr.
Thank
Chairman.
you. Any discussion of the motion? Jason?
No, Mr. Chairman.
A really quick question. So what exactly specifically are the variances that are here? Is it strictly the 4?
The wall signs.
Okay, what part of the wall signs are the variance? Just want to make sure we're clear on what the variance is. Is it only the fact that they want numbers over the bays? Is
Correct.
that the only exception?
Because you're over the 2.
See,
Okay,
Yes.
so, but all the rest of the signs would be normally compliant to
Compliant,
begin
yes.
with. It's just the little square numbers over the bay that we're talking.
You have the little square numbers, and I believe
C and D, right?
there's a couple of, I guess you would call them directional signs.
Traffic control.
Okay.
Traffic control.
The exit only.
Exit only, et cetera. Okay.
Yes,
But the bigger signs, the advertising signs are not a variance. That's what I wanted to clarify.
correct.
Okay, thank
So
you.
they're not a variance because
They're
they're within the square footage and height.
good.
Yep.
That was my question.
No, I think that's good.
All right, so the motion is to recommend approval of the request by HFA, the conceptual design plan establishing the site idea for Valvoline Instant Oil Change 12420 Bandera Road, Helotes, including the following: site plan, general building concept, exterior lighting, and the following signage. 1 business name wall sign pursuant to Code of Ordinances, Chapter 66, Section 51, signs, commercial signs projecting wall and hanging around windows. 1 monument sign pursuant to Code of Ordinances, Chapter 66, Section 49, signs, commercial signs, single business use monument type, and 4 service bay wall signs with associated size and number variances pursuant to Code of Ordinances, Chapter 66, Section 51, signs, commercial signs, projecting wall and hanging or in or around windows. All in favor of this motion, please signal aye.
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 Those opposed? Motion is approved. And we'll go to city council. Michael, when will that be? When is their next
So
schedule
normally it's 2 weeks from now, but it's gonna be on the 11th
of July?
of July.
Yeah. Thank you. All right, we move to item 9 for this evening, which is discussion and action on a request by AP Architects for approval of a conceptual design plan establishing the site idea for Las Palapas, Helotes, 14924 Scenic Loop Road, Helotes, including the following: site plan, general building concept, exterior lighting, and then the following signage: 2 business name wall signs, 1 monument sign, 7 traffic control signs, and 7 traffic control signs for parking, and 3 traffic control signs for drive-through. And as with the previous item, if need be, we can break this apart into separate motions if that is necessary. Presume the applicant is here tonight, if we have questions. Michael, anything that you'd like to introduce with this item beyond what was provided?
So one of the first things I'd just like to address is that if you look at the site plan, it's kind of busy because it looks like there's some proposed future construction. So that's just something that's proposed, so it's really not part of our conceptual, but that's what the site plan shows. If you're following along, I guess the first elevation that you see could be the black and white one. It'll be the one that says Las Palapas there. That's actually facing Scenic Loop. In front of that will be built a patio. And I'll have actual photos of that. If you look at the second elevation, that's actually the side that's facing the QT, I guess you would say, Bandera Road. That's the second building elevation. If you look at the third one, that's the back. That's the rear elevation. And then if you look at the fourth one, that's gonna be the side that's, if you're facing the building off a scenic loop, it'll be the left elevation. So that's where the drive-through will loop around to. That makes sense? So if we go to the colored photos. So where it says front elevation, that's really what it's gonna look like. So this actual store here, and Alvin, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but it's off of Petranco in 1604. And it's pretty much
The images you said are from that store?
the actual
Okay.
photos that you see.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
And that's gonna be pretty much like the one built in Helotes, or if it gets approved, obviously, will be pretty much mimicking that layout. So if you look at the first front elevation, that would be like if you're looking at the building from Scenic Loop.
So the easiest way to say it is that it fronts Scenic Loop.
Yes,
That's the easiest way
the
to
one that
describe
says
it.
front elevation, yeah. And then your left elevation, you'll see that's pretty much the side where that faces Bandera. So it would probably be directly behind QT.
Mhm.
Oh, yeah.
And then you'll see there's a picture there of the rear elevation. And then the right elevation is gonna be the side that's off of Scenic Loop, and it'll be the left elevation when you're facing the building off Scenic Loop, and that's where your drive-through is gonna be. Then if you look at the site plan for the photos, the site plan for signage, it kind of gives you a good, layout as to like how they're gonna develop the parking and the route that they're gonna take, and it gives you a good idea of like where the signs are gonna be with respect to like your drive-through and so forth.
Okay, so just to make sure we're all on the same page, the site plan, which seems to show more than one structure, is actually not accurate in the sense that that second structure is not at all part of what we're talking about.
Exactly. At some point, they wish to propose that, but that's not for this agenda item at all.
Okay. That's an important point. And the lighting, you didn't address it. I know it's in here, similar in that it is compliant with our requirements for cutoff.
Yes, and again, the applicant's here, but one of the key takeaways is if you look at the building, the actual photos of the building, that's, Alvin, if I'm correct, that's pretty much what you guys are gonna use for the Helotes Las Palapas, correct?
Why don't you come on up if you would? Just put your name and business address on.
Calvin Peters, what am I listing? My address is, gosh. I think it's 1130 Blanco Road, San Antonio, Texas. As far as the lighting goes, yeah, the building proper lighting will be cutoff lighting. Most of our Las Palapas in San Antonio, we're in some sort of military overlay district, so we've been doing that for a while. I talked to Michael earlier at this time. The owner doesn't want to do neon lights on the parapet, so we've gotten rid of that. I know there was some objection to that by you guys. That's fine. Parking lot lighting, it'll be as minimal as possible, but at the same time, it's got to be safe. And we will provide photometrics as part of the permit package, where we'll show the diminishing of the parking lot lighting to 1 foot at the property lines. Keep in mind, from Bandera Road, as you head in, we're doing shared access drives that already exist, getting into QT, one off of Bandera Road, one off of Scenic Loop. But the one from Bandera, our building's substantially lower than QT's site. We may be 8 feet lower. So it's not going to be this big item that you see. Scenic Loop, it'll appear bigger there. It's closer to the street. I guess off of Bandera, we may be 100 yards away. It's gonna be out there.
Maybe speak up there in case there are questions. Why don't I open the floor to comments? Buck, go ahead.
Looking at the site plan, the circles are existing trees.
Yes, but when we do have a master tree preservation plan of some sort in there, and we do have the calipers calculated for the plan you have in front of you showing what we're removing and the mitigation fee proposed, if our calculations are right, and then we show newer trees planted.
I have, because I guess adding up the parking spots, it's roughly, say, 200 parking spots. I know there's formulas for that, which of course I'm not educated to speak on. It just, this area is the gateway to Helotes, Old Town. And it seems to me, it's kind of a mow down the trees and then we'll start from fresh.
Well, let me explain that. What we need for the restaurant, and we do this restaurant, this is one of our prototypes in Petranco Road being the latest to come online. We need about 80 parking spaces. And even with that, at peak hours at the restaurant, afternoon and evenings, there's people driving around looking for a spot. What we're proposing is to use some of that floodplain area as overflow parking. The owner is Brett Bradford and his team. They own Bernie. They own Petranco, Alamo Ranch, O'Connor Road, Military Drive. I think this would be his 6th store. But this site was unusual because of the large floodplain. I think that first portion of the site that is directly off of Scenic Loop is 2.91 acres, and a full 50% of that's not usable. We're never going to be able to build anything. So we're sensitive to that, but at the same time, we're trying to figure out how to make money. And we don't need the overflow parking every day, and we can substantially reduce what we're cutting down. I think to the magnitude of about 391 inches, we can reduce what we're cutting down in that flood zone quite a bit.
Good to hear.
To where, we wanted feedback. I think Brett was telling me the other day, he goes, and I don't know your town well. I apologize. But there's a Floors General Store right. And so Brett said, why don't we propose a shuttle and, just use this parking now? I don't know. Who knows what he's going to do? But that'll be something that's for discussion.
In the city code, there's a lot of restrictions. It's preserve the neighborhood character, improve the quality of life for Helotes citizens, preserve and enhance the rural atmosphere.
Yeah.
Rural is huge. We're the gateway to the hill country.
Yes.
And it just appears in the site plan. Let's cut down the trees and we'll start from fresh and hope for the best with current conditions with the drought.
Well, that's a plan you got in hand right now. And we have an alternate plan that we could get to Michael real quick. Where, like I said, in the floodplain, we reduce what we're removing by 391 calipers. That's a lot of trees.
It would just be, take a look at that parking lot and the atmosphere of Helotes, and then that intersection is the gateway to Old Town.
Yeah,
which we love Old Town. That's what we're known
Sure.
for, store and everything else. And we want to preserve that area.
our intent is to preserve as much as we can.
But Los Palapas definitely, I'll probably pay for the building, myself.
Yeah.
But thank you for your time.
But the intent is to, we'll work with you guys. If you guys got ideas, I'd love to see a public park area, picnic tables in the back, in the flood.
Because in the master plan, they kind of have parking rooms, I guess, trees and then 2 or 3 parking spots, more little green area and more parking.
Yeah. We'll do islands and leave what we can, leave as much as we can. And like I said, we do have an alternate plan. We just developed this morning. And, it's too late to get this to you guys, but we can certainly get it to you tomorrow.
So there's a whole back and forth.
Sure, of course.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Okay.
Like to go next with questions?
If I could, as Michael, so this is B2 zone.
Michael,
B2.
And so this requires city council approval for a restaurant with drive-through. This is not.
Correct. So that's not on the agenda right now. It's actually going to be added on when they do their menu board as well. So we have to do the public hearing part first, and then, they go through the motion for the drive-through. Yes.
so the restaurant itself is scheduled use,
Yes.
but the drive-through component is the add-on. Okay,
Yeah, it just needs to be approved by city council.
so that comes back here, correct? Before it goes to council, and it'll happen with the board, you said, the sign?
It'll come with, obviously the public hearing, for the drive-through, and then their menu board will be submitted at that time as well.
Sorry to interrupt. Go ahead.
That's okay. I mean, that is, to be honest, kind of the crux of my concern here. Drive-through restaurants are very intensive traffic use. So I looked at the ITC, which is, it's kind of the gold standard of traffic, says that it's 49.36 peak hour trips per 1,000 square feet at where I think we're 4,900 square feet. This actually would seem to be an even more intense traffic situation than what's approved across the street with the residential development. And the residential development has the advantage of having 2 of the 3 driveways actually exit on Bay Narrow Road. I'm a little concerned that we're proposing very intense use, and then it would appear near in the future a second super intense use out of the same driveway. I'm not really sure that's what we want in Scenic Loop. I think just for this reason that it was B2, zone B2, and not a more intensive zoning that would allow that to be kind of grandfathered through with the drive-through.
Okay. Thank you. Yeah.
Okay, so this is very general. I mean, it's going to be coming back to us with more detail. You said you have another plan that you'd like to share with us, but I mean.
It's an alternate tree preservation plan. The 200 parking spaces that were shown on the concept plan is a lot of asphalt. And so we were kicking it around. So we do have something we can get to Michael real quick.
I shared Jason's concerns. I just don't want today to approve something that we can't, change, or, this is very general here. So.
Right.
Okay.
So to be clear, though, the drive-through is not,
Here today, but.
well, the plan, the design for it is, but the actual approval for it is not. So that's the distinction.
Yeah, and honestly, I don't know. I'd have to get that information from Las Palapas, what their peak hours are Monday through Sunday, but we could provide you guys with that.
So if I can just chime in real quick. So some of the things that are going to be required for Las Palapas to submit to the city engineer is going to be the traffic impact analysis worksheet, which, has been provided. They're also going to work through the mitigation for the tree because right now this looks feasible in that the only thing you can build on the floodplain would be something like a parking lot, right? However, you do have to meet certain standards with as far as canopy cover. So in other words, per every feet, from the tree or whatever, or for every feet of parking spaces, you have to have certain trees there as part of the canopy preservation of canopy cover. So this is all something that is still in the works with our city arborists. So having said that, this preliminary layout as far as like the trees and the parking lot have not been approved by our city arborist or our city engineer, So right now we're basically focusing on the conceptual, the actual look of the building. But yes, to your point, the traffic impact analysis is worksheet is something they need to submit before anything is approved.
And I don't have, I imagine QT did the original traffic impact analysis, and I don't know if we've got that yet. It may be designed in there. I don't know, but we'll know. We're looking for that right now.
Yeah.
We haven't seen it. It may actually be accounted for. Don't know. The new commercial development was coming behind QT and to the side. So something's planned in the parking. Since we're sharing an existing shared access drive on 2 roadways. To speak to what Michael says on the trees, I mean, realistically, we're removing a lot of trees. We're proposing, in what you have now, the worst case scenario, we're removing a lot of trees, but we're putting a lot back. And I think we've calculated $65,000 in mitigation fees, which my owner doesn't like. And that's why that prompted him to get us to look at, let's reduce it. So I think we've actually cut it in half. We've got the next plan I'll send you will show a $30,000 mitigation fee. I think we talked about this at the last meeting we had with you, your team, Michael, and the owner's willing to plant trees in your parks. I mean, we do this in San Antonio when we don't have enough site to plant things. We don't donate them, but well, I guess we do, but we'll give them to you into your park system, and you guys maintain them. I mean, there's a lot of things we can do.
We go back, Dan, if you have other points.
Oh, no, go ahead.
Alex.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. It does seem, and I guess echoing the rest, it seems a little awkward to say we're going to recommend approval of a site plan that includes things that we can't see yet. So, I mean, if you're bringing a drive-through restaurant that you can't talk about the drive-through because it's going to be in the future. And I get it. The problem is that we're at the conceptual state here where there is not really a public hearing, which is necessary for that drive-through portion of it, right? So you have to have a public hearing both here and at city council on it. I guess as I look at the site plan, and my question has sort of been answered about the fact that the parking lot is there. It's this thing that's the building that is here but not going to be here between the QT and the Lions Club, correct?
Yeah,
That part is not there in final, so we're not looking at that. I guess as I think about the fact that it is a drive-through and it's such a narrow piece of property up there, that all of the parking is going to be down the hill, and all of the people who want to park to actually eat at the restaurant, sit down, and sometimes they're crowded, right? You've said that, are going to have to walk right between and in between all those cars in the drive-through line.
Yeah.
That seems to be a little awkward. I don't know what the solution to that is, but there's a safety question for me.
Well,
That's for you to figure out, but because I don't think that's going to be solved now. I would agree that there's many ways to leave some of those bigger trees there and to cut back on your mitigation plan. The best way to avoid that fee is to leave a tree. And I get the other many options on that. And for those of you who don't know, we do have a fund that's anytime when they cut trees down, they can either replant them or they can pay the city, and it goes into a fund that then can be used for tree preservation and other programs like oak wilt and things of that nature. So I think we'd all really rather see the original trees stay, and I'm sure you'll work towards that. That was my only question, was about the parking lot, the size of the location is being pretty far away.
Well,
I mean, you're talking about, if you're saying you're 100, you're talking to have a parking 100 yards away from the restaurant, because it's not beside the restaurant, it's here and then down the hill
Yeah.
as you're parking, and everybody's going to have to walk up the hill through the traffic of the drive-through. So
there's a couple schools, and let me just tell you something briefly. A couple schools of thought on parking. Austin just adopted no parking ordinances, and I think it's the way of the future. It's leading to a heat island effect and so forth. So we like small parking lots. In Bernie, we don't have any parking in front of the restaurant. Everybody parked in the back. We haven't had any accidents, any incidents. You know, I guess the thought is, would you rather see a big field of asphalt in the front or in the back? That's an individual choice. But this site, this location, we couldn't push the building any further back. Where we're putting it is about the only place it can go, because we're in the flood. About 50 feet behind the restaurant, we're in the flood. Drive-through is right on the edge of it. We can't build anything.
have you considered the possibility of pervious cover for your
No,
parking lot?
of course we are. And I think we talked briefly about it when I met with city staff a couple of weeks ago, and we do that all the time. And I would suggest that for the flood area. You know, maybe it's crushed granite, maybe it's another product, maybe it's grasscrete, who knows? Yeah, I mean, we do that on projects.
That would be beneficial, I think, rather
Oh,
than
yeah.
have all the runoff with asphalt.
Right. Yeah, it's a 100-year flood area. It's traditionally absorbed water. Let it keep doing what it's been doing for 1 million years. No, we're in agreement there, but I don't see a way we can push the building further back.
Oh, no, that wasn't my suggestion.
Oh, okay.
I was saying it's just a way of doing something with the protected pedestrians,
Yeah.
because they can't park beside the building.
Yeah,
They're gonna have to park
it's a funky
50
site.
to 100
long and narrow.
yards away, so.
Let me interject here with a couple things. Michael, to clarify on the site plan. Is it necessary or even appropriate to have the building pad site showing there? Because that's not part of this discussion. It's not part of this item. And I don't want there to be any confusion that we are in any way approving what's shown there.
Right, for the record, that pad site is not part of the agenda.
On the signage, I think I figured this out, but just to verify, the wall signage, the name with the flower design, that's
The logo,
one, that's
yeah.
one piece, right?
There's one facing scenic loop.
No, but I mean, the sign itself is, it's a one-piece sign.
You know what? I don't know. I'd have to ask, I'd have to go look at it. I don't design them. It's designed by Keller Sign, and even though I've seen it, I don't know.
So I raise that then, Michael, if it's actually two.
If you look at the photo, if
Yeah.
you
Yeah,
look at the photo, it's one sign.
I mean, if it is two, to be clear, that would probably be considered two, you know,
I mean,
two different signs. So that might
Yeah.
just be aware of that.
No,
Okay.
you can see that it's under one cabinet, you know.
Yeah, it does say the tan part is aluminum sign cabinet.
That's fine. Is that one of it?
Oh,
I was
yeah,
talking
you
about
look at this
Yeah,
one that goes here.
yep, the wall sign. And then I'm just trying to get clarification. So there are a total of 10 so-called traffic control signs here. But I'm trying to figure out what they all are because a number of them that we received simply say, thank you. And I don't know what that is and where it goes.
I can speak to that real quick.
All right, go ahead.
So if you go to the one that you say thank you,
Yep.
above that, the photos above that are gonna say drive through and thank you. So when I spoke to the sign company, they just provided those signs, which are H, I, and J. They provided those with generic thank you on there, just so that we could see the measurements, right? So that we can see that they're 3 square feet, which is to code. And then if you go back up to side A and side B, where it says drive through and thank you, those are gonna be the
But
actual
what,
signs.
go where? Sorry. Yeah, okay.
Those are gonna be the actual ones?
So the ones that just have 2 signs side by side,
Yes.
those are gonna be the actual ones.
So what does H, I, and J represent? Just as,
The number of signs. So if you go back to the site plan for the signs,
okay, wait.
That's this one.
Yes, go ahead.
so you'll see, it kind of gives you a general idea of where they're at.
Oh, right here.
So they kind of, so what they basically do is they kind of guide you through the drive-through.
Okay, so H is at the entry point and entry point,
Correct.
pointing you towards I, which is back there
And then J's the other side
on the way.
on the way out.
Yeah. Okay.
And I'm assuming that side would probably say thank you, and then the
Yeah.
other side of it was have the arrow.
Makes sense. Makes more sense than all these signs that say thank you.
Yeah, so when I spoke to them, they just gave us that as reference for the size.
We're, that's funny.
and we can certainly take photos of the actual signs in the field. I mean, that
Yeah.
we've done at other locations. That'll match up with what you're seeing.
Okay. Are there any further questions for the applicant? Thank you very much for your
You're
time,
welcome.
and we will see if we can get a motion going here. I will invite at this time. And I will say that regardless of motions, that I submit a report to council, and I will do my best to capture some of this discussion, as will the minutes, which council will have available when this eventually comes to them. And Michael, you indicated the TIA and the tree, the arborist, all that has to be completed before this goes to council, right?
Before anything is issued. So council can also approve the conceptual design, but no permits will be issued until that meets code.
Thank you.
Okay, so today we would be recommending, if we do the motion, the signage
The site plan.
site plan, a very general building concept. Okay, and the exterior lighting.
Correct. And so when we make a motion, I appreciate if you read out each item as is, just so we're clear for the record.
You mean all A through G?
Yep.
All right, I'll do it.
And it's a recommendation.
Right, okay. So I move to recommend approval of the request by AP Architects LLC for approval of a conceptual design plan establishing the site idea for Las Palapas, Helotes, located at 14924 Scenic Loop Road, Helotes, Texas, 78023, identified as VCAD Prop ID number 1395816, and including the following: A, site plan; B, general building concept; C, exterior lighting; and D, signage; 2, business name wall signs pursuant to Municipal Code of Ordinances, Chapter 66, signs, Section 66-51, commercial signs projecting wall and hanging or in or on windows; and E, signage; 1, monument sign pursuant to Municipal Code of Ordinances, Chapter 66, signs, Section 66-49, commercial signs, single business use, monument type; and F, signage; 7, traffic control signs for parking pursuant to Municipal Code of Ordinances, Chapter 66, signs, Section 66-45, traffic control signs, subsection A, traffic control signs upon private property; and G, signage; 3 traffic control signs for drive-through pursuant to Municipal Code of Ordinances, Chapter 66, signs, Section 66-45, traffic control signs, subsection A, traffic control signs upon private property.
Wonderful, thank you. Is there a second?
I'll second, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. So discussion of the motion, Ann or Buck,
Nothing.
Nothing additional.
Jason or Alex? I would note, just for the record again, that to reiterate that the site plan only speaks to the Las Palapas building rather than including the second site or structure that's on that, on the drawing. And again, to reemphasize that the drive-through, though depicted here, is not really being approved right now because that has to go through a separate process, which includes, of course, the menu board and a public hearing given the zoning. So the motion is to recommend approval of the request by AP Architects for the conceptual design plan establishing the site idea for Las Palapas, Helotes, 14924 Scenic Loop Road, Helotes, including the following: site plan, general building concept, exterior lighting, and the following signage: 2 business name wall signs pursuant to code, Chapter 66, Section 51, signs, commercial signs projecting wall and hanging or in or on windows; 1 monument sign pursuant to code, Chapter 66, Section 49, signs, commercial signs, single business use monument type; 7 traffic control signs for parking pursuant to code, Chapter 66, signs, Section 45, traffic control signs, subsection A, traffic control signs upon private property; and 3 traffic control signs for drive-through pursuant to Code of Ordinance, Chapter 66, Section 45, signs, traffic control signs, subsection A, traffic control signs on private property. All in favor of the motion, please signal aye.
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 Opposed?
Nay.
Abstentions?
I'll vote aye. I'm sorry.
Okay, so the vote was 3-1 in favor, so the motion to recommend approval is approved. And we'll go to City Council, July 11, right, Michael?
Correct.
That's the date, July 11 for City Council. Thank you for being here. That brings us to the conclusion of our agenda. Entertain a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All in favor of adjourning, signal aye.
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 Opposed, we stand adjourned at 8 o'clock. Please catch your lights.
Thank you.
All those thank you signs. Funny.
Are we all?